Good evening, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order for the Brawley City Council and successor agency to the Brawley Community Redevelopment Agency. Regular meeting for June 6th at 6 p.m. here at the council chambers. We'll start off with the roll call, please.
Yes, Councilmember Hamby.
Here.
Councilmember Revelar.
Here.
Councilmember Warden.
Here.
And Mayor Nava.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Castro is on the way, I think.
All right, thank you. We can have our invocation by Councilmember Hamby, please.
Sure. Let's all stand. Bow our heads and pray. Heavenly Father, we are thankful to you tonight, Lord, for your many blessings. Thank you for this beautiful day and for each person that has made an effort to be here tonight. You've said in your word that the government ultimately will be upon your shoulders, but in the meantime, while it's on the shoulders of men and women, we ask that you would give us guidance and wisdom to make the right choices for our city, for our country. We thank you for your hand of protection that is upon us. We thank you for the quality of life that we have here, and we ask that you would help us take steps to make that quality of life even better. We thank you again for your blessings. We ask all this in Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you. Our Pledge of Allegiance by our City Manager, Mr. Tyler Celsius.
Thank you, Mayor. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Councilmember Hamby.
Yes.
All right, let the record show that Mayor Pro Tem Castro has arrived. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda as written?
I'll so move.
All right, there's a first.
I'll second.
There's a second there. There's a motion and a second. Any
Warden and
discussion? Yeah, Wharton, Hamby. Wharton first, Hamby second. All right, all those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is a public appearances and comments, not to exceed 4 minutes. This is the time for the public to address the council on any item not appearing on the agenda that is within the subject matter jurisdiction of the city council. The mayor will recognize you, and when you come to the microphone, please state your name for the record. You're not allowed to make personal attacks on individuals or make comments which are slanderous or which may invade an individual's personal privacy. Please direct your questions or comments to the city council. Is there anyone here who would like to make a public comment on any item not appearing on the agenda? Thank you.
My name's Jennifer Braun, and I'm actually not from this area. I'm from the Coachella Valley, but I represent Boys and Girls Club of Imperial Valley as their grants manager. I've had the pleasure of serving with them over the past several years, and it's been a great opportunity to get to know your community and get to know all of the kids here in this community. And I have to say, even my daughter who's here with me tonight, she loves coming out and hanging out with the kids here. They're great kids. And so this has really been a great opportunity to come out here and get to know everyone here in this community, and I hope to get to know the council a little bit better as well in the future. And I just wanted, tonight we wanted to come and just give you a little bit of an update on our kids and what they're up to and how we can better serve your community as Boys and Girls Club. And so as the grants manager, I'm a statistics person. I love my stats. And so it's something that helps guide as to what we can do to help better improve your community. And so something that we go through is really kind of some of these numbers just because it helps us to know how our programs are helping to improve your community. And so Anita's going to hit on the programs after me, and I'm just going to hit on our kids and the statistics here. Youth here in this community, for ages 5 to 14, you have 16.4% of the population. And of that, 10.7% is under 5 years old. So you have a growing community of youth, which is awesome. A lot of need here in Imperial Valley and Brawley for programs such as Boys and Girls Club. And then you also have a 73.6 high school attainment rate, which is amazing that you guys have such a great high school attainment rate. It's right along the lines of state. And then the 14.3 bachelor's degree, it's a little low, but you guys are coming up year after year. And that's something that, Boys and Girls Club and Anita will hit on this, is we have college readiness programs that help prepare the students for college. And then your obesity rate is a little high, but it's been coming down. It's a little over 50%, but it's been coming down each year. And I think that this is a lot to do with not just what the county is doing, but you have a lot of great programs. We've just run T-ball. You've got basketball. There's new shades there at the clubhouse for the kids to be able to enjoy. And so there's a lot of great opportunity here in Brawley. Something that, another one that we love to do is career advancement and readiness. And so that's something here in Brawley. You have a 42.7 employment rate, so it's kind of a high unemployment rate. But at the same time, your kids are probably getting ready for, starting school and or starting their careers from school. We have a couple of youth here at our clubhouse that are just graduating. And so it's really exciting to see how the kids progress and go right into the workforce. So you have amazing things going on in this city, and that is very much, a part of what the Boys and Girls Club helps to bring to this community. And so I wanted to just touch base on those things and let Anita come up and speak a little bit about our programs now.
Thank you.
I didn't recognize it, just wanted to.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Anita Martinez. I am the CEO for the Boys and Girls Clubs of Imperial Valley, and I'm based actually here at headquarters here in Brawley. We also have a unit in Hopeville, and we have our teen center that's here stationed in Brawley as well. So I just kind of wanted to thank you and for allowing me a couple moments of your time just to follow up on what Jennifer said about some of our incredible programming that we have, starting out with what we call a power hour, which is the hour right after school when the children come in to the clubhouse, and we help them with homework and we get them some tutoring, and we want to make sure that academics is always on their forefront and that it's just as important to them as anything else and any of their aspirations that they may have. So another one of our incredible programs is our career and college readiness, where we have mentorships, we have guest speakers, we have community outreach, we do Money Matters, which teaches the kids about budgeting and just credit and all that important stuff that we can never get too much of. Also, we have career days, we have school and research tours. We also do FAFSA prep, scholarship guidance. We do resume building, interview prep, and then we also do Dress for Success. We also do Healthy Habits, which is where we teach the kids the importance of just living a healthy lifestyle, eating right, eating balanced meals, keeping up with exercise and mindfulness activities. So our goal is always to keep our kids in the program healthy, happy, and to know that they can really accomplish anything that they set their mind to. So we are actually very excited to introduce a brand new, it's right in its infancy, but we're working with Chief Duran I'm sorry, my words are getting caught up. I'm so excited about it. But you all have heard of the Explorers program. Well, they've come up with this brilliant idea for the Pee-wee Explorers program. So we're going to be working with the little ones. If you can imagine them with uniforms and learning all the basics, learning the discipline, making sure we keep up with their academics. So that program is in its infancy, but we are looking to start that up the next school year. So we're very, very excited about that. And just in closing, I want to thank a lot of the council members here that have attended some of our events and been part of some of our events. So much so, community, we just had our skating event, and Gil was there. Thank you very much. And we've seen several of you at all the other ones, and we want to continue to see that and have those great relationships and invite anyone out there that like a tour to come out and see those faces that your donation dollars are helping to contribute to. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the update. I appreciate that, and the council does as well. Thank you. All right, is there anyone else who'd like to make a comment on any item not appearing on the agenda?
Hey, good evening, Mayor Nava, members of the council, members of the audience. Guillermo Hernandez with Assemblymember Garcia's office. First and foremost, before I begin reading what I have here to present, just want to say thank you to the council for allowing me to speak, to use this platform to inform the community and update the community on such an important matter. So Guillermo Hernandez, again, Field Rep for Assemblymember Garcia, here to provide you with an update on AB 918, the Imperial Valley Healthcare District, and the comprehensive healthcare package it is a part of. AB 918 has continued to make significant progress, and it is now in the Senate Local Government Committee, where it's undergoing further refinement through amendments. These amendments represent our commitment to establishing a single county-wide healthcare district in the Imperial Valley through legislative action. They have been carefully crafted based on extensive discussions and consultations with local stakeholders, ensuring that the necessary changes are made to effectively serve the healthcare needs of our community. The amendments focus on crucial aspects of the healthcare district, including its establishment, dissolution of existing districts, transition, and composition of the new healthcare board. By streamlining these processes, we aim to create a unified and efficient healthcare system that benefits our entire community. The input and feedback from stakeholders have played a pivotal role in shaping these amendments, ensuring that we're responsive to the unique healthcare challenges we face here in Imperial County. In addition to AB 918, Assemblymember Garcia has been actively advancing several other important healthcare bills within the comprehensive package that I mentioned before during other public comments. These bills, such as Senate Bill 112, Assembly Bill 1131, Senate Bill 870, Assembly Bill 412, and Assembly Bill 869 continue progressing through the legislative process. They work in conjunction with AB 918 to comprehensively address various healthcare challenges and enhance our community's healthcare system. It's worth reminding of the one-time request for the $1.5 billion ask to provide support to California's hospitals statewide, underscoring the legislature's commitment to improving healthcare services for all. As we continue to move forward, the Assemblymember remains dedicated to fostering collaboration and engaging with stakeholders and local elected officials in Imperial County. Their valuable input and recommendations guide our efforts to refine and strengthen the comprehensive healthcare package. We value your partnership and encourage you to reach out to our office with any questions or concerns you may have regarding AB 918 or other healthcare bills. Not only the council, but members of the audience, members viewing online, to give us a call if there's any clarity or any clarification needed for any of our bills. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the information. We appreciate that. Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment at this time? Any other public comment? No? All right, so we're going to move on to the presentation of proclamation in recognition of the Brawley Catacall Queen Royalty Association. And so we'll go over that. All right. So I see royalty in the house here, and over here as well, right? So that's fantastic. All right. City of Brawley proclamation of recognition presented to, and I should mention something that we're proud of. We've changed the proclamation somewhat to make it a little bit more meaningful, and so I would like to thank staff as well for the new folders that we were able to present to the public. So that's just an added benefit. So congratulations on that. Thank you. All right, City of Brawley proclamation of recognition presented to Brawley Catacall Queens. Whereas the City of Brawley acknowledges and values local community organizations and the significant role they play in bringing people together and preserving the historical significance of our city. Whereas the City of Brawley has been home to the Catacall Rodeo event since its start in 1957, with over 35,000 people participating each year and drawing visitors from all over the Imperial Valley and beyond. Whereas the Brawley Catacall event has made significant contributions to the betterment of our community, to the betterment of our community, becoming a week-long event bringing families, friends, and communities together. Whereas the Brawley Catacall Queen Royalty Association, being a prominent role in representing the event and the City of Brawley, participating in various community events, parades, and activities. Whereas the Brawley Catacall Queens have demonstrated exceptional leadership, commitment, and dedication to their community, serving as role models for the residents of not only the City of Brawley, but the entire Imperial Valley. Now therefore be it resolved, I, George A. Nava, Mayor of the City of Brawley, along with the Brawley City Council members, do hereby honor and recognize the Brawley Catacall Queens for their exceptional commitment and dedication to our community. And it is signed by me.
Mr. Mayor, is everything spelled correctly?
It is, except for my name, but that's okay. I'm kidding. No, everybody, thank you. Please welcome up the Brawley Cattle Queens. And we'll present this together in just a moment, but, I would like to invite you up, please.
Yes, thank you, if I may.
Of
My
course.
name is Shannon Mackenzie Johnston. I am proud to be a board member for the BCCQRA. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. The rest of our board couldn't make it tonight, but we want to extend our gratitude. I understand this is a first. I've only been with the BCCQRA for the past 4 years, but I'm born and raised in the Imperial Valley and big-time member of the Brawley community, as you can see. I've had the pleasure of meeting most of you at my opening at the DMV. But so much with the girls that they do. I'm going to turn it over to our current queen, and she's going to fill you in a little bit on what she's done this year and introduce what we've got coming. We just look forward to more prosperous years to come and looking forward to working with you and the community as well.
Thank you very much. Please.
Good evening. My name is Cindy Roper, and I'm currently holding the title of the 2022 Brawley Cattle Call Queen. I want to share my grace and my gratitude upon me and my court to you guys for making this happen. I myself have been a member or a part of the BCCQRA Association since I was 6 years old, and so seeing this happen tonight at 18 years old just truly makes my whole, dream come true. I truly do think it's an amazing association. Throughout the year we've done, I think we're at 50 events now with our community and other communities. We travel as well to other rodeos and to other fairs and those type of events. And we not only are representing our rodeo, but we get to represent the city of Brawley as a whole, and I think it's truly amazing. And it has taught us so many skills such as public speaking, how to work with adults, how to work with boards, how to hold meetings of our own. In fact, about 2 weeks ago, we held orientation for our new coming candidates. I think we have 8 running for the 4 titles, and it's so exciting to just see a whole new group of girls come in and want to participate as well. Standing next to me is our 2022 Brawley Cattle Call Junior Queen, Harper Brandt. This is her 2nd title. She also I think, truly loves to be a part of her community. Her family is a huge part of our community, and so to her have her own part, I think is super proud, and I'm super proud of her. This is her 2nd title. She was our Little Miss about 2 years ago. We do have a teen queen, Amaris Rothfleisch, and a Little Miss, Reese Johnson. Unfortunately, they had other commitments tonight, but they also share their gratitude. Thank you.
Fantastic. Well, thank you both very much, and all 3 of you. And quite honestly, like the association, when you think about it, just a few years back, it was difficult to even get young ladies to participate, right? And now it's growing, and you're saying that there's, I think, 8 candidates, right? So now, and it's all the things that you talked about. It's like public speaking, learning to speak to adults, all those things that, become difficult for people, and quite frankly, not until they get late in high school, maybe college, where they're learning how to communicate effectively, right? So you're doing it now. Congratulations on that, and you're representing our community very well, so we appreciate that very much. Council members, if you'd like to add some comments, please.
Mr. Mayor, I was just going to say, I can't believe when she said she's 18, because a lot of us looking from the outside have seen you grow up, and all of you come through the program, and I know you come from a long line of cattle call queens as well, so I know your parents are super proud, and as well as your sisters, but to see both of you here.
She is part of the Roper legacy.
Yeah, the Roper legacy.
Unfortunately, she's our last Roper, so we're kind of out of Roper, so we're moving on to the Brants.
Right, there we go.
A bunch of we have quite a few young ladies that have come up. We have some young ladies from Imperial, a couple from El Centro, as well as Brawley this year. So we're spreading out across the valley, which we love to see, because although we represent the Brawley Cattle Call, it is the Imperial Valley.
Sure.
We're world renowned. It's a famous rodeo.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a famous event, and it brings a lot of publicity and exposure to our community.
Yeah, absolutely.
And these young ladies, like I said, I started this 4 years ago. Harper was running her very first year. She was unsuccessful. She didn't speak at all. She does speak now. She didn't. I mean, she would not do anything. And Harper, believe it or not, she speaks a lot. She speaks just like this one.
All right.
So
Well, would you want to say some words now?
Harper, you can
Yeah.
say hello.
There you go. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everyone. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
My name is Harper Brandt, and I am your 2022 Brawley Cattle Call Junior Queen.
All right. All right. See? Great job.
And that is one of the amazings. We have a lot of stuff, around town when you're at our events, they have their little pictures that they autograph, and the young ones love it. You know, I think I have one of Miss Sydney when she was 6 years old. So even if, like you said, to see from 6 to 18, they progress throughout the years.
Sure.
I mean, she's a wonderful young lady, proud to have her as our queen. She represents our community well and represents our organization well in the sport of rodeo.
Well, fantastic. Well, we have this proclamation. We'd like to present it to you. If the council would join me, please,
Want
I'd
to do it
appreciate
now?
that. Yeah. We can get some pictures.
Our hats.
We should have brought our hats and our belt buckles. Maybe a horse. You know? But
You didn't ask Sydney, she would have definitely taken it. Miss Anita.
all right. Let's give him a big round of applause.
Yeah, we'll see you out there.
Congratulations.
Thanks again. I appreciate it. Yeah, great job. Hey, you know.
Was I leaning?
Aren't you royalty as well, Mr. Mayor? Weren't you prom king?
Well, no.
Were you on the court? I remember you
I
being
was on
some sort of
something.
royalty.
I don't know. I don't know about those things. All right, here we go.
I was.
The next one.
I was a prom king. but
You
I
were
was-
prom
I was
king?
homeschooled
He was
though.
homeschooled. He was homeschooled.
Homeschooled.
But he was prom
Oh,
king.
back
you
to
know?
those jokes, huh?
You know, but it was actually close. You know, it was close. You almost. There was like one vote for, one vote against. You're like, who voted against me at home?
I was bullied
You know?
by the older
It's like,
students.
your
My
dad's like,
teacher
I don't
hated
know,
me, but
you know? Right?
love you, Mom.
Yeah, right. Yeah. All right. Next on the agenda, we'll move on. So congratulations to the young ladies here in the association. Next is presentation of proclamation in recognition of Hidalgo Society Cinco de Mayo Queens and Princesses. And so we're going to read a proclamation as well. All right, here we go. City of Brawley Proclamation of Recognition presented to the Hidalgo Society Cinco de Mayo Queens and Princesses. Whereas the City of Brawley acknowledges and values local community organizations and the cultural diversity within our community. Whereas the Hidalgo Society has made significant contributions to the betterment of our community while preserving our Mexican heritage and celebrating our Mexican-American culture. Whereas Cinco de Mayo is a celebrated holiday that commemorates the Mexican-Americans' victory over the French Empire at the Battle of Puebla on May 5th, 1862, and is celebrated across our region and country. And whereas the Hidalgo Society Cinco de Mayo Queens and Princesses have played a pivotal role in representing and promoting the significance of this holiday within our community, whereas the Queens and Princesses have demonstrated exceptional leadership, commitment, and dedication to their cultural heritage, serving as role models for the residents of the city of Brawley, particularly the youth. Whereas the Queens and Princesses have actively participated in various community events, parades, and cultural activities throughout their reign, fostering a greater understanding and appreciation of our traditions and history. Now therefore it be resolved, I, George A. Nava, Mayor of the City of Brawley, along with the Brawley City Council members, do hereby honor and recognize the Hidalgo Society Cinco de Mayo Queens and Princesses for their outstanding representation of heritage and culture within our community. Let's give them a big round of applause. All right, we have some representatives from Hidalgo Society. If they could come up, please. Look at this. All right.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Manager, and Attorney. My name is Esther Banda, President of Hidalgo Society. I just want to thank you again for the continuous support that the city provides to us. Not only do we, our mission and goal statement is to support socioeconomical and the underprivileged through education or through other nonprofit organizations. And the way we run our Cinco de Mayo event is our queen might be a little shy to make a statement as she was just newly crowned. But we had our previous queen that was great in doing her role as a Cinco de Mayo queen. Not only do we do Cinco de Mayo queen, we also have Dia de la Raza, Hispanic of the Year, which we have two of our Hispanics of the Year sitting right there, Ramon Castro and Gil Rebelar. So it's kind of a yearly, tradition for Hidalgo Society within our Hispanic and Mexican heritage. But most importantly, I think that without your support, collaboration within the community, because it does bring a lot of community unity within our organization, we truly thank you for always being there and supporting our events.
Fantastic.
And I'll pass our Cinco de Mayo Queen for 2023 is Dominic Torres, and our Junior Queen is Dazzy Hernandez. So here is,
Hello, my name is Dominic Torres. I'm the new Cinco de Mayo Queen for 2023. I think I was really inspired by the previous queen who was the 2022. She really inspired me to be it because she was a very close friend of mine, and she really showed me just how she like really handled the role, and I really wanted to do something and to like help out the community with that, and I just wanted to show the Mexican culture of what it's like. So thank you.
Well, nice to see you, Dominic. Congratulations.
Yeah.
No. She's like, no.
Nope.
we have our Junior Queen. She's a little shy. But Daslyn Hernandez is our 2023 Junior Queen.
Well, let's give her a big round of applause. Yeah. Well, congratulations, ladies. I would like to present this proclamation to you. If I can have council join me, please. I'd appreciate that. And thank you all very much, and thank the Hidalgo Society.
So you're my lead, huh?
Long time no see, huh? You guys doing all right? How are you? You doing all right? Let's get in here. Let's take a picture.
This time it's really gonna be.
Okay, ready? 1, 2, 3. All right. Yeah. Let's get this. Brawley, let's get royalty in here. Royalty and royalty. Right? And then we have the prom team from back in the day here as well. Uh-oh.
I'm between the hat and the crown.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. You want to come up and take another picture, maybe closer, or no? You're good from there? Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you, everybody. All right. Thank you.
They look alike. So you're not in my league, bro.
Oh, is this your chair? I'm sorry, I'm gonna sit here.
Hey, here you go, sir. Have you taken yourself?
What a gentleman.
I am. So we're gonna make a correction real quick. I am the only Hispanic that you
Oh, okay, there we go, yeah.
All right.
I was his
All right.
father.
Oh,
Father, my dad.
You got some work to do, bro.
uh-oh.
Next
But still an honor, right? Still an honor,
yes,
right?
yes.
Definitely an honor.
Yeah.
Definitely an honor. Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right, well, thank you very much for the presentations. Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Items are approved by one motion. Council members or members of the public may request consent items be considered separately at a time determined by the mayor. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda as written?
So moved.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second?
There's a second. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the city manager's report.
Defer. Thank you, Mayor.
Defer, all right, thank you. The next item on the agenda is the study session. Item 5A, review, discuss, and provide additional direction to the 2023-24 preliminary budget, study session number 2, presented by Tyler Salcido, our city manager. And actually, I think you're deferring to, and Sylvia Luna, is she presenting?
I'm deferring to.
All right, deferring, all right.
Finance
Sylvia.
Director.
There you go, Sylvia. Acting Finance Director. Thank you, Sylvia.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council, city staff, and public. Sylvia Luna, Acting Finance Director. We're here tonight to continue to provide updates and gather input from council and the public in regards to our fiscal year 23-24 budget, which is planned for adoption by June 20th. Budget Study Session 2, it's our second public meeting, which its main goal is to present the multiple changes that were incorporated to the budget since our last meeting on May 31st. The objective of this meeting is to provide a transparent and easy to understand picture to the public of what is included for funding and what is intended to be achieved by the city during this fiscal year. So this is the agenda for tonight's presentation. Just a quick overview of the budget timeline. We're going to focus mainly on the updates or changes to general fund and the capital improvement plan. Just as a heads up, we do not have any updates or changes for the non-general funds overview.
You wearing the same clothes?
No, different shirt. Different coat.
So this is our budget timeline, and as described on our last meeting, the budget process will remain the same. Presentation and budget workbook have the same format, and our public meetings will be held in council chambers starting 6 p.m. They're all gonna remain available during and after the meeting for the public to view. So tonight, it's our second public meeting, and we're just gonna, as just mentioned, we're gonna just focus on those changes and what changed and what's the impact to our reserves. Our next meeting, which is the final meeting, is June 20th, and that's as well our regular council meeting, and the goal is to adopt a final budget. Okay, so during our last meeting, we presented a high-level overview of our general fund revenues and expenditures. Tonight, what you're seeing on screen, it's the updated revenues. Basically, there is no major changes to our revenues, just one minor change to miscellaneous revenues. It's an increase of $2,000 and $132. This increase belongs to the senior center funding. So the city was carrying a balance on a liability account that was reserved for senior center, for senior events. So we're using those funds to partially offset a budget request from the department to provide a better and more activities for the seniors this year. So again, we continue to present moderate revenue projections. We're still monitoring those revenue projections, and we're in the pending any, on the lookout for any state budget changes that they can potentially impact our budget. Expenses. So we do have some expenses to report on this presentation. As presented on our last meeting, we already had incorporated a couple of items, or many of the items we already know they're giving for this year. Where the boxes where you see a star, those elements, those items have a change or an update. For example, our full-time FTEs, one position was added and one position was replaced. We added equipment request, and we added 2 facility improvement projects. For the general fund expenses, this is the updated figure. So our expenses on our last meeting were reported at 20.7 million. Now we are at 20.9 million. So this is a 1% increase versus our last figure. The budgets that had an increase under budget, it's information technology, police, fire, parks and recs. And overall, this new figure versus our current budget, it's a 2% increase. So what are those changes? So we have an increase of $53,000 in salaries and benefits. This is strictly related to recreation clerk position that was added. We also have the net effect of replacing a community services officer with an evidence technician. We have savings, what you're seeing in green over there, $17,000 for temporary salaries. So this is the effect of converting a part-time recreation clerk into a full-time recreation clerk. So we moved those funds between those 2 accounts. We're increasing the IT budget for travel and training, and this is to account for mileage reimbursement for our temporary staff that was not being considered. And we are also including $10,000 for the Fire Station 1 kitchen repairs that were missed on the prior version. This is the 3,500 that you see there. It's related to the adjustment and miscellaneous revenues, so we can reduce the impact to the general fund. And finally, we have the equipment request, which is the compressed air station that the fire department is requesting in the amount of $80,000. $70,000, that improvements others and buildings. It's the fence construction project for the police department that as well was added to this proposed budget number 2. So the net fiscal impact of implementing this request, it's $1,200,000. Okay, so on our last meeting, we talked about the importance of having and maintaining healthy reserves. So this is our new update. These are our new updated figures. So now we have revenues of 20.2 million and expenses of 12.9 million. Our surplus now, we still carry a surplus of $329,000. Our prior result was a surplus of 128,000. So there's an effect of implementing those budget requests, which reduces our surplus. The good news is that we still have a surplus compared to our 50% target of the total expenditures of $860,000. So basically, when revenues exceed expenses, that means our budget is still balanced and it still reflects stability and a good position for the city. So right now at this point, by incorporating those changes, we're still in a good position. So what is pending on our general fund? The boxes that you see in gray, those are the budget request items that were incorporated. The items that you see still in color, those green, blue, and red, are items that are still on our pending list. So it doesn't mean that we're not considering them for funding. We consider all of our department's requests highly important and much needed, but we're still doing more analysis as if we can, find more funding sources for them, or maybe funding sources for some other element already in our budget, and we can add this later on in the couple of weeks. I don't know if you have any questions, any clarification that you need. So still the total impact of this outstanding request, it's $211,000 that are still not part of our budget.
I'm sorry, can you go back real quick one slide?
Sure.
And just kind of review those expenses which are ongoing? They would all be ongoing, right?
All those that are left.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I was just trying to clarify. Last week, we talked about some of those one-time expenses and getting them out of the way. Okay.
Grayed out.
Okay,
Yeah,
got
are the
it.
great, yes. So
I forgot my reading glasses again. I'm having trouble.
That's okay. So most of the items that we still have in here are personal requests. They are being carefully evaluated because, as we mentioned on our last meeting, these ones it's not a one-time expense. These are gonna stay on our budget for many, many, many years, especially the pension cost that will remain with the city. So we're trying to be very cautious on what is it that we need to incorporate, what's best for the department to maintain the city services, and it's also healthy for our reserves. Okay. Any additional questions?
Yeah, so, I wasn't here last time, but I did watch. Great presentation, as everyone said. I know we talked about the revenue, that percentage, the 15%, but it's arbitrary, correct? So,
The reserve.
yeah,
A
I know
reserve.
you talked about a range. Are we looking to draw that down? Is that the intention to draw it down and whether invest or stay afloat or certain things?
That is an option for the council to consider, yes.
Okay, I get it.
Yep.
And, Tyler, city manager, you're very familiar with the budget, came in under the finance officer. How does this budget compare to previous ones you've worked on? And then taking in consideration the kind of economic environment we see ourselves in and going into?
And in relations to the other budgets,
Yeah, from your history, your experience here in Brawley.
well, the budget is a continuation of some excellent budgets that were prepared by our former finance director. Not me.
Yeah,
The one after me.
Yeah. Yeah.
But, so, yeah, and it compares favorably in the sense that some of the trends were continued from last year to this year. The only exception would be something different than this year. We were conservative on our revenues, working with our consultants about the pending potential economic downturn. So those figures are we're always conservative, but we took those into consideration when working with our consultants that have suggested that a lot of our tax revenue is going to be flat, if not less than this year. I'm sorry, and your other question was?
I think just compared, or with you kind of touched on it with the economic survey
Yeah,
going
that's
into.
yes,
Okay.
yeah. And that is something to consider. As I recall from my last presentation, last discussion on the reserves at the last meeting, I went into detail about a different potential way to look at the reserves as the insurance policy and the range and that kind of things. That's something that council we could potentially consider moving future to help with that flexibility of staying within our policy and still providing the services that we need.
Do we look at revisiting that percentage before the end of this either fiscal year or calendar year? I mean, the fiscal year ends, but this calendar year?
We can review that anytime that it's requested. I had initially thought we would, my suggestion would be in July or at the beginning of the new fiscal year to review the policy and to document whatever council direction is to adjust that policy.
If I may add, usually during the fiscal, we will have quarterly budget updates, and also it will be another opportunity to look to see how we're doing our reserves, and it's always the option to revisit or reallocate anything that it's right now sitting there as a fund balance category. There's always that opportunity to revisit, right?
Would it be beneficial to review that at probably the next meeting? Perhaps would it help you guys with the budget process now, or was this something that could wait?
Council's direction.
Yeah, we can.
I think my impression was we know how it's been accounted for, it's booked, it's reported, and as we move forward, however we look to move, and I think it just creates some flexibility for budgeting purposes, and at the same time, I think the other thing, I always think some historical perspective, maybe a little bit to what Councilmember Revelar is also asking, is I don't know exactly how many years ago, but that reserve fund has always done what it was always intended to do, and it certainly buttressed our previous budgets when the forecasting went the other way, right? When revenues fell short, et cetera. So I think we've always erred on the side of caution, and I think a little bit of what's being proposed here is a little flexibility. Doesn't mean wiping away the reserves. It means being able to tap into it so that we can consider some of these investments that I think have been proposed. And most of the investments, in my understanding, that I've seen so far in this proposed budget is all toward our departments and really things that have been continue to be much needed. And we've always had the balanced approach, which is what I personally like about the proposed budget. So it's a little bit of investment. It's a little bit of, continuing to do, I think, what we've been doing, being fiscally, I think, responsible. So I have no further question. I mean, so far, it looks very reasonable.
And with respect to the reserve, the reason I think it's a good idea to have that flexibility in a range, so we're not tied to a percentage like we've said, because we set the range. I mean, excuse me, we set the policy. And so when we dip below that, auditors and things of that nature, just becomes problematic for the city as well. So, and if there is a range and we're within that range, then we're within the range, so that's important to consider as well. But, all right.
One more, I guess, I'm sorry. What, I guess, challenges are we seeing? I mean, we have the budget here, we pass it. What are some possible, I guess, challenges that could maybe throw a wrench in some of these, or I guess contingency plans in place for?
Wrench was, like I said a bit ago, was the economy. The economy is the biggest driver. We've seen trends in housing slowing down for those that are in the real estate market. Still climbing interest rates.
Sales, even at Walmart, sales at stores are down.
That's always the biggest challenge to a budget is we're so tight, trying to balance that any fluctuation to the negative in our budget would be, to our revenues would be detrimental.
I guess that's because obviously, where I work, there's a lot of discussion, especially workforce and salaries and whatnot. Will we be seeing similar issues? I mean, we're not going to be giving raises or any big ones, but do we see similar issues with, I guess, bargaining units or negotiations and salaries and cost of living adjustments and whatnot? Do we anticipate?
If I may, I think that's a discussion that we have on for closed session.
Okay, all right.
Not trying to dodge it. Just,
No,
Right,
I understand. I understand the sensitivity of it. No, I understand.
All right.
Great
Like to
questions
continue? Yeah.
and great comments. Thank you so much. Okay, so moving on from general fund to the capital improvement plan. So we have small changes in here, and I know on our last meeting, we had great questions and comments in regards to which projects are being completed or started this year. So I think I owe everybody this slide. I just provided a very high level overview of what's the total amount that the city is investing for this fiscal year 23-24. So these are the projects. These are the street improvement projects. Even their project number, which streets are being worked on this year. We have K Street, 2nd Street, Malan Street, C Street. The biggest project this year is our Main Street project from 1st to 9th. This is phase 1, which is 7.1 million. Phase 2 is expected to begin next fiscal year, and it's another 6 million. So that project is $13 million, from which 3.4 million belongs to ARPA funding. So it is critical that we complete and exhaust those funds by December of 2024. So that's one of the biggest goals. So I also added a graph in here because I think it was a really good question of how much the city is investing on streets. This is a 5-year actual versus our budget this year. As you can see, there's a huge gap between our prior years and this year. So we have $8.5 million in new funding this year, and most of the years we're averaging 1.1 million. These are actual expenditures for street improvements year over year. So the gap, it's mainly due because this year we have more grant funding, 6.6 million. So that we need to use those funds, and those funds are entirely dedicated for street improvement.
Fantastic.
And could we reemphasize Main Street again?
Main Street.
Main Street again.
Yep.
Main Street again.
Once these contracts are locked in, basically, are they affected? Sometimes it takes a year and a half to get them started. How badly are they affected by inflation?
That's a great question. Definitely there's an impact product of inflation. I think we have our forward works analyst in here. She takes care of the bidding process and receiving the quotes. What I've noticed this year while doing this part of the budget is every year the Public Works Department provides updated costs. So, I mean, you can see a 6%, 5%, I guess, depending on what it is. So I think there's a high priority on these projects to be completed to avoid that inflation effect.
This last year has been proof. I mean, we haven't had
Yeah.
too high of inflation in the years since I've been here. But this last year's been tough on a lot of projects and our operating expenses. And we'll see how that goes in the future. Hopefully it levels out. But yeah, the time is of the essence, so we need to get these projects done.
Right.
Perfect. So total street improvements investment for the year, it's 10.1 million for this year. Okay, so we have not only street improvements, but we also have other public works divisions, our water treatment plant, wastewater treatment plant, and airport. They all have very needed projects. This time I added a legend in there, so if you see a house in there, that little house icon in there, that means that it's funded by that specific fund, the water treatment plant fund, the wastewater fund. If you see that gear over there, that means that the funding, it's development impact fees. And if you see that little tag over there, in that corner, that means that it's grant funding.
Your little legend there, that's good.
Oh, there it is.
Yes. So that's new. That's new. So it's
Thank you
just
for that.
it's to help the public
Simple.
identify those little funding sources. So total of our wastewater, water, and airport projects is 5.4 million. Other citywide projects, so we have wonderful projects for police, fire, parks and recreations, and senior center, and library. Most of these projects are funded by development impact fees. Are only two, and here's where we have the change, right, versus our prior capital improvement plan. We have the fence construction for the PD department that was included in the amount of $70,000. That's funded by, that's general fund money, so that's impacting our general fund. And the new compressed airfield station for Fire Station 2 in the amount of $80,000, which is also general fund money. The rest of the items were already included on our CIP from the prior version. Same thing, Parks and Recreation, Senior Center are having a very busy year.
And I did get an explanation for Rachel on the ADA ramp construction. It's not just a ramp, it's like a whole pathway and
Garden beautification project.
it's still a lot of money for that, but much better than just a ramp, because you built one for, $1,000.
98,000.
98,000.
So total citywide facility improvements, it's 2.5 million for the year.
I was afraid of asking. I thought I was in trouble with Rachel there for a minute.
I was
No,
watching.
not
I
at
was
all.
like, hey, what the heck? What the heck's going on?
They're not cheap.
No, that's not, it's certainly, even with that, I still think it's excessive, but, you guys know what you're doing.
That's government for you, brother.
You guys know what you're doing,
That's
but
California
it's our job to
government
ask.
for you. Yeah.
Yes. Great questions.
Right? Arizona would have been like $800. Right?
All right, so funding sources for.
Oh, all right, she goes, all right.
right.
All right. Yeah.
Funding sources, I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
Continue.
No, we gotta continue.
No, this
We
is,
gotta stop. Continue,
We
please.
got stuff to do. Let's continue, please.
Funding sources, there's no changes to our funding sources on our capital improvement plan. Well, actually it is. Just we are adding the general fund monies for $150,000. Other than that, our funding for the capital improvement plan remains the same. Again, our most important item in here, or funding source, it's the grant money or one-time funding that we need to spend to make sure those resources are not going away, and we met with that. We meet the grants guidelines and requirements. Sure. That's all I have for CIP. For non-general funds, general funds, I do not have any updates or changes. These are remaining the same. 24.3 million in revenues versus 24.7 million. I just received an update on local streets funding, which will be presented and incorporated into our next meeting. I still don't have the final figure, but there's going to be some change for our street funding, which is good news also for our streets projects. And I think that's all I have for tonight. Our next steps will be to finalize the budget in the next couple of weeks. We'll continue to talk to departments, complete our analysis, review final estimates, so we can meet here June 20th and adopt our budget.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Are there
you.
questions, comments from council?
I just have a quick comment, and I mentioned it last time, that after we're done with this budget process, if we could make it a priority to start looking at how we can save money on our streets and maintenance of our streets. That's something, the discussions that we were having with Mr. Todd Dial and some of the folks that are developing some of the new neighborhoods. Unfortunately, Mr. Dial passed away last fall, and so he was full of great ideas on how we could do this, but it doesn't mean it has to end there. It's something that we should certainly revisit after you guys are done with all this workload. I understand, I know, but afterwards. And so we can get ahead of it. And so when we're discussing the budget next year, we can have a pretty good idea and flatten those graphics there a little bit. So.
And I do want to thank you for the presentation. I do appreciate the presentation itself. I know it's not just the data and the figures, it's actually focusing on how to present it, even your legend that you created. All those things take time. And so I appreciate it very much. It makes it easier to read, and it just it really keeps us engaged, and I think that's really important. And the public too, but I appreciate the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sylvia, I just want to emphasize also pointing out, and I think the public appreciates the breakdown and categorization of the funding, even though that was always there, but to really highlight it here, I think in this presentation. It's often said, we need to take advantage of grant funding. We always, as council members, say we do and we are, but that really puts the specifics, not just for this budget, but I'm going to recall, it's a number I remember, just not very long ago with the previous finance director that we had close to $20+ million worth of projects, if you include it all, that were tied to grant funding in the pipeline, either being delivered or to be delivered or consider, it was done. We just had to move forward and deliver. So exciting. You can see a good chunk of that coming up here with this budget. So
it's always interesting that the public thinks that, the city of Brawley is not trying to get like grant funding. Like that's a novel idea. Come on. Of course, cities do it, every city does it, and there's limited funding out there, but it's just, the proof is in the pudding there that there is tremendous amount of work from city staff to apply and receive those funds and apply them to our community. So I always say Brawley's not a rich community, but it's not a poor community either. So, but we're a full service community, and that costs money, so every division that we have to support, and we only have 135 full-time staff members to support 28,000 people. So that's a pretty good job.
It's a tall order.
And I'll tell you, Mr. Mayor, that was, I think, the biggest eye-opener for me when I got on council, to see the amount of work that you guys put in. So much that's accomplished with such a small crew of employees. Like, it seems like to some 130-some employees is a lot, but it's clearly not
very few.
for this
very few.
size of the city.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you guys are certainly doing a great job. Keep it up.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you for the presentation. And we'll move on to regular business. Next is 6A, discussion and potential action to approve professional services agreement, amendment number 3 with West Coast Arborist for an additional year. This contract for tree maintenance and care is for an amount not to exceed $30,000, and authorize the city manager to execute this agreement, presented by Rachel Fonseca, Parks and Recreation Manager.
Good evening, members of the council. Rachel Fonseca, Parks and Recreation Manager. So council approved an agreement with WCA for tree trimming services in 2021, and since then there have been 2 amendments or extensions. The current amendment is set to expire at the end of this month, and staff is requesting approval of the amendment number 3 for $30,000 for fiscal year 23-24 to continue using WCA. WCA, they've helped Parks and Recreation with tree trimming that is done in preparation for events and for emergencies, and this has dramatically improved tree safety, tree aesthetics, and staff efficiency. So staff is requesting approval of the amendment.
All right, thank you. Any questions from council?
No, we just next year when they come up for that next extension, we'd like to see them.
Yeah.
That'd be nice.
Actually, I didn't have the opportunity to give them the link that was correct, so that's why they're not on Zoom.
Okay, sounds good.
But they would have
All right.
been here.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to approve this item.
There's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
And there's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Rachel. All right, and then she's up again. Discussion potential, this is 6B, discussion potential action to approve lease agreement renewal between the City of Brawley and La Gente Boxing Club. This lease authorizes the use of the City Elks Youth Building for La Gente Youth Boxing Program and Brawley Police Department Boxing Program, presented by Rachel Fonseca, Parks and Recreation Manager.
So part of the city's mission is to increase opportunities for the youth of the community whenever possible. And one way the city does this is by providing the Elks Youth Building free of charge to La Gente Boxing Club. And the lease is up for renewal, and staff is requesting renewal of the lease for another 2 years.
All right,
Motion to approve?
there's a motion to approve. Is there a second?
A second.
There's a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you.
And thank you, La Gente Boxing and the Brawley Police Department Boxing Program. Congratulations. All right, next item is Mr. Armando Garibay, Director of Information Technology. He's coming from behind his computer, and he's going to present to us today. Discussion, potential action to approve cybersecurity services contract with Deep Seas, Inc. for an annual amount of $39,025. This service contract will provide management, detection, and response to cyber threats. Further authorize the city manager to execute the agreement. Mr. Garibay.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Armando Garibay, IT Director. I'm here tonight, and I think you covered just about everything here tonight, to request your approval to provide a one-year contract to Deep Seas in the amount of $39,025. This contract does include cyber threat monitoring, detection, and response in a 24/7, 365. Deep Seas will be replacing in an existing contract with another provider. While the existing provider has done a great job, and we may keep the cybersecurity awareness portion of that existing contract, Deep Seas will take cybersecurity to another level with a more hands-on approach, which is why I am recommending that we go with this provider. Finally, I'd like to thank this council for your aggressive and proactive approach to cybersecurity. And if you have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Thank you. Is there a motion to approve the item?
A motion to approve. I think the credit goes to you for the
Motion to
proactive.
approve.
I'll second.
Second, all right.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Motion approved, thank you. See, that's how you do it, staff. You know, you come up here, flatter council, you're like, you guys are great, you know? Like, you know, can we get this approved?
We're
Like,
not.
yeah, motion to approve. you know?
They all do a good
Yeah,
job.
right,
They all do a good
We're
job.
not great.
Right? They all do it in a subtle way, right? No, I'm teasing. I mean, it's a great program, Mondo.
Make him Mondo's
Everybody-
embarrassed next time.
Everybody does a great job. though,
Next
you know?
time he comes up,
Yeah, he's like, yeah, right. All right.
Good evening, Mayor, council members, Tommy Garcia with the City Manager's Office. We have for you today, request to approve a resolution to appoint some members to the Planning Commission. We do have 3 seats that are coming to the end of their term, and we have a 4th seat. A current Planning Commissioner is asking to step aside, Mr. Lane, who's been doing some great work there just for personal reasons. He's asking to step down. So that term will be to 2025, but somebody needs to fill that seat as well. So I believe you have the applications that we received. 2 of our current members are asking to be reappointed, and then we have 5 new applicants as well.
All
4
right,
total
thank you.
seats
So
that we're
4
talking
total
about.
seats, correct.
4 total seats.
2 reappointments.
And
Correct.
two-
3 seats will be for the full term, 4-year term, which will end in 2027. The 4th seat is to fill a vacancy that'll open that is till 2025.
And the reappointments, or the ones being considered are Robert Palacio, he's asking for reappointment, and Mr. Darren Smith. Why don't we start with those? Is there a motion to approve the reappointments? And then we can work off the rest?
So I have no problem with, I actually served with those 2 gentlemen when I was appointed by you and Mr. Mayor back in the day to the Planning Commission, both outstanding members of the commission.
All right, so if there's a motion to approve the 2 reappointments.
I'll second.
There's a second on there. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, those, congratulations to those reappointments. And then we'll move on to the other 2 open positions. Am I correct?
Correct.
All right.
And again, one is for the full 4-year term till 2027, and the other one is to fill the vacancy that'll open up with Mr. Lane, which will only be till 2025.
All right, there's some great applicants, of course. There are several this time around. Sometimes we have difficulty filling these positions, but it looks like Mr. John Grass has applied. Terry Partida Rodriguez applied. Ronald Gray III applied. Cynthia Vandiver applied. Elizabeth Kern applied. And those are the candidates. So I did read the applications. I'm sure the rest of council has as well. Is there any desire or any consideration for any or nominations by council?
Could we, Mayor, if I may, specify, since they're different terms,
Okay.
go one at a time?
Sure, absolutely, we can do that. And one is just to fulfill the obligation of remaining time, is that right? And how much time is left on that one?
That'll be till 2025.
2025, all right. So you want to start with that one, and then the next one would be to fill, it's a 4-year term, or, yeah, right?
Yeah, the full term.
Uh-huh.
Mr. Mayor, maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know, I see some visitors, if there's some candidates. maybe
Are there,
too.
is there anyone who applied for the position of planning commissioner who would like to come up and make any statement here? I don't want to say yes. Well, if you could come up here. Okay, and your name? Cynthia, all right.
Is there a?
Anyone
We'll
online?
kind of decide who goes in what term.
Okay.
We
all
start
right.
with the 2-year term?
Yeah, we'll
Remainder.
decide with the 2-year term. How about that?
You know what, I'm familiar with Mrs. Van Diver. Actually had discussions with her on the phone. She's well experienced in the area of development, and as an appraiser, obviously that goes a long way, right? So
Would you like to make a motion?
I'd be satisfied to see
nominate?
her. I'd like to make a motion to appoint Mrs. Cynthia Van Diver to the remainder of the term set to expire in 2025?
All right,
2025.
there's a motion to appoint Ms. Van Diver. Is there a second to that motion?
I'll second it.
All right, there's a second. And any discussion by council? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, congratulations, and thank you for being in here. We appreciate your presence, and we wish you well on the Planning Commission. And then, of course, once you're on there, you can also apply for reappointment when the term expires. So, okay, congratulations. Let's give a round of applause, because it's a big run. All right, so the final position would be for the 4-year term, and that is, there are some candidates there. I'll take the liberty of making a nomination, and that would be Mr. John Grass. He's presented himself multiple times here, and he's well engaged in the community. I would like to nominate him for that role. John Grass, I'll make the motion for him to be the next appointee to the Planning Commission.
I'll second that.
There's a second. All right, any discussion?
Yeah, I'd just like to, follow up on that, is that I've seen him, and, he's well-versed on the city's issues with the city, and, always here. I'm surprised he's not here tonight. So.
Well, he seems very level-headed, so I think that's an important
Absolutely.
aspect. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I think also his experience with behavioral health, as we know, we've learned some of the substance abuse that goes on especially in the north end of the county. I think his experience working with behavioral health and substance abuse will pay dividends.
And I think it's important that we had people on that asked the right questions. And I think when I sat on the Planning Commission, that wasn't always the case. And so rubber stamping isn't acceptable at any level, I think. And so I think these fine folks would do a great job.
So you're just rubber stamping now?
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
I'm kidding,
sure.
I'm kidding. All right. Now, there's a motion, a second. Any further discussion by council? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Tommy. We appreciate the help that you put into that. Thank you. All right, the next item is an informational reports for the building permits of April 2023, and that's it's in the backup, and it's for your viewing pleasure.
Multiple
Thank you,
pages.
Oscar, back there. He's always quiet back there.
Oscar always doing it.
He's always near the exit just in case something pops off. In case there's a question, he's like.
People are raving about Oscar and the
There you
service
go.
that his department is
I
providing.
rave
so
about him, man. I
they-
mean, they're doing a good job, you know?
They really are. They really are.
Yeah.
Every time it comes up, and ever since he's been there,
Yeah,
just
no, I agree.
nothing but good things out of that department.
That's fantastic. Well, let's keep that up. All right. Next item is city council member reports. We'll start with council member Hamby.
Mr. Mayor, I really don't have much to report, but I did want to say, I guess since the last regular council meeting that we've had, I got to attend the ribbon cutting of Mayor Nava's new business venture, and that was a
That's right.
good event, and I want to wish him congratulations on his new business.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have.
I appreciate that. Council member Revelo.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing. I want to read to you the first, obviously there's a lot of discussion, a lot of stuff's been happening, but I want to read the First Amendment of our Constitution. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press or of the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. As a proud American, I respect our Constitution and the freedoms and liberties it has granted all of us here today. Although the history of our country is marred by stains of racism, sexism, and violence, it has allowed us to progress towards a more just and fair society because of those liberties granted within our Constitution. The right to protest allows those who may have nothing more than their very own voice to be heard. I think it's easy, and I know for me, to take for granted the influence and platforms that I've been allowed to have, but many do not have those same privileges. And so many are sometimes forced to resort to unconventional and nonviolent ways to have their message conveyed and their voices be heard. And I'm referring to the last meeting where I attended, where an individual was detained for nonviolently protesting by playing music outside this building. I don't believe it was, or what was referred to as a terrorist approach, as that's a slippery slope associating something such as music with terrorism. I know that wasn't the point that was trying to be conveyed, but words matter, especially when they come from government. And you only need to look at our Constitution that I just referenced on the importance and impact of government words. But it would be hypocritical of me to criticize someone for non-violently protesting and simply wanting their voice to be heard in an unconventional matter. For I may have been the one to pin a crosswalk in downtown. I may have tagged up the front of the building with messages to save jobs. I didn't, but I may have. All hypothetical, of course. But I do know what it's like to be frustrated and feeling not heard or respected, at least a perception, and just finding any way to get the attention of the powers that be. And please, don't take this as me not supporting our police department. Let me make it clear. I support our police department 100%, but as with everything, not blindly. I admit that I have no idea about the tough and real job that is policing, but when I think of the crime that the chief has shared with us, illegal guns, overdose deaths, gang violence, I struggle to see where music outside City Hall is a crime of that nature. The last thing I want is a perception that our police department serves as guard to the almighty and esteemed City Council, where we dare not be disturbed as we conduct our important business. And I say that because meeting disruptions are not uncommon, at least for me in my professional career, from the meetings and protests about mask mandates to even just recently the discussions regarding salaries. I've seen my fair share of meetings being disrupted by people simply wanting to be heard and acknowledged. But I've never seen anyone detained or issued a court date. And I'm sure there are some individuals that could have been charged with disturbing the peace. This issue and incident also speaks to the fragile nature between the city of Brawley, our community of Brawley, and our police department, in particular our east side and those who are struggling. This year is 30 years from an event I know our Mayor Pro Tem experienced, but the tragic death of Arturo Roman Ortiz. I'm not trying to reopen old wounds, but show the sensitive nature of the relationship between our community and PD. Much progress has been made since then, from our selection of our chief to the Explorers program to our new foundation to even homegrown officers within our city. But all it takes is one incident to go sideways for us to be back at square one with mistrust and the feeling that the train tracks that divide our city to continue to mean more than they should. Now back to the matter at hand, I do recall us agreeing and I thought committing to a workshop to address the concerns of the residents in downtown. At the very least, I hope we can meet that obligation for all parties to come to an understanding. Whether we place an ordinance or a simple handshake agreement or nothing at all, no one should be having to be in limbo on what is privately being done behind the scenes to address a public matter. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Councilmember Wharton.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just to put a cap on, last week did celebrate EMS Week and actually had a barbecue inviting all and any and all pre-hospital representatives, which Brawley was well represented down at the Reach base in Imperial. Of course, hospital, emergency room folks. So it's just a moment again to take pause and celebrate the men and women that wear the uniform and do what they do. And Chief York, appreciate your attendance. I know you picked up where I left off as we were stepping out. Also, the employee appreciation luncheon went very well, and I was just very appreciative to be part of that. And Mr. Mayor, again, your MC skills and keeping the energy in that moving looked like it was a great event, albeit I had to leave a little bit early. Great stuff. And then finally, last week ended with the Desert Wildlife Foundation. Did attend that. Many contributors from Brawley were a part of that, but it is a valley-wide foundation. Serves a great purpose out in our wildlife areas, out in the desert, conservation efforts, water drinkers, countless hours that are put into that. And as a matter of fact, I think our new commissioner-elect's husband is a big part of that as well. So there's a lot of people that come together to make that happen, and it looked to me like it was very, very successful. So again, great to be part of that. And last comment, I've been making this comment, I think for about the last half a dozen meetings about the downtown noise, Ciudad Plaza / the Spot 805 topic. I was sharing a little bit since our last meeting, our special meeting, about getting the owner together. We've outlined a kind of a plan that I hope we can implement this summer, but a couple things that I'll just kind of quote that the owner is already doing and willing to do and exploring at least this summer. Obviously, it gets warm. It is going to slow down. Part of that's just by design, just the nature of, Imperial Valley, right? It gets a little warmer. It's going to get a little bit tougher. But the plan really is to take advantage of some of that time and see if we can get some of the noise abatement project ideas on the table, see if we can make them actionable. And we tossed some ideas out that I'm not ready to put on the table yet until there's, something that the owner feels comfortable that he can move forward with. But what I'm encouraged with is there's a willingness to do something. So I'm hoping that, unlike maybe just said, that maybe these movements aren't radical, but it's really, in my mind, the best possible solution is to get two parties together and come up and try to aim in the middle. I hate splitting the difference, as it's said, but I want to make one thing clear. It kind of gets said quite a bit. The focus is not just the noise ordinance, it's also land use and zoning. So when those two things come together, it's incumbent upon this council. Why it's not easy is that you have to harmonize both. And that's exactly what we're looking to do. And if I didn't feel that was the best solution myself personally, but I think council, I haven't heard anyone else jump in with anything other than maybe trying to change the ordinance, which I made public comment that I don't believe that is the end-all solution. It could change to something that both parties or one party might be unhappy with. So I really think the way to go at this is to see what we can do to mitigate and then have kind of a short-term plan, intermediate plan, long-term plan. So the hope is I think we can get after it going into these summer months and take advantage of some of that, I'll call it downtime, and see what we can do. So, Mr. Mayor, those are my comments.
Good point. Thank you. Mayor Pro Tem Castro.
Thank you. I was expecting to make it very brief today, so I'll start with that and then I'll follow up with some stuff. I just want to thank all staff here with the city for an excellent job on Memorial Day. I wasn't here. My wife schedules our vacations like a year in advance, and Memorial Day is a very significant, very important day for me, obviously, having served in the Marine Corps and lost many brothers and sisters. Actually, the first person that passed away while on active duty that I served with was female Sergeant Jeanette Winters from Gary, Indiana. She passed away in Afghanistan as soon as shortly after September 11th, when we started combat operations in that country. So it's very, very important. But our family time is also very important. Sometimes we have to take that downtime. And so anyways, was with the family. But our other friends, active veterans in the community like Raymond Gonzalez and Daniel Nunez, and of course Rachel, we met several times, planned these events together. So city, in conjunction with the Elks, were able to put together the walk, and Mr. Ernie Mariscal emceed. How was he, Rachel, by the way? I know he did that 8-mile walk, and he's getting up there in age, so tell him I said that. Mr. Mayor was there as well, so I heard. Guys were real happy. So they were like, don't worry. Someone said to him that their favorite council member made it, so it didn't matter if I wasn't there. So. Anyways,
they love to bust your chops.
Yeah, they do. Well, that's how veterans do it. And then all three of them served in the Army, so there's something to be said about that, right? And the three of them trying to pick on one little Marine. We know how that goes, right, Chief? There's another devil dog over there. So always a lot of fun. We mess with each other. We don't mess with the Air Force for some reason. I don't know.
There's nothing to say.
You got a point there. Anyways, and then last weekend, I want to thank the mayor personally for allowing me to do this on short notice. We received a call that a gentleman, and fitting that it happened like back-to-back weekends, right? A soldier, Staff Sergeant Antonio Mandojano Rocha, who passed away on natural causes at Fort Bliss, I believe in April. The family, he was originally from Fresno. His wife is from here, from Brawley. So his remains made their way here to our town, and they wanted to have a small ceremony to honor his memory. I want to thank the Legion Riders who came out, Brawley Police Department, and of course Mayor Nava for allowing me to represent the city. We gave a flag to the family. We started the proceedings from their home to the church, and we stayed there through the entire mass. You know, I wasn't expecting to speak. I was expecting to present the flag. The family did ask me to go out there, and I think I fumbled that. It's just, you know, a lot of different stuff comes up. But anyways, that's all I was going to report. But I think it's important to address the comments by a council member, Revelar. Yeah, as a matter of fact, yes. So Arturo Roman Ortiz, known as El Caballo, guy from the east side, I'll actually be visiting his family. He was shot dead in my bedroom on my brother's bed by a Brawley police officer. And I won't, you know, my belief is that it was a racist police officer. And I think that's what happened. You'd think that I would have developed a hatred for Brawley police or any police officer, in which I didn't. Because when I was a little boy, growing up in the projects, when I wasn't big enough to chase away the bad guys, there was Brawley police officers who came to my aid. And so I'll never forget that. So there's always a bad apple in everything that you do, right? Fortunately, my brother, I don't think he recovered ever from that experience. But I looked at it differently. You know, things happen, and we have to be accountable for our actions. I think that Roman met his end, and a lot of it had to do because of his actions. And that police officer made his ends where he ended up because of his actions. He didn't end up well either. So that doesn't mean that the rest of the department was guilty of that. They've done a lot of good work in our community. And I never held any grudges. Even I was arrested for failure to disperse as I was dispersing when we were protesting that murder. And I think I was 14 years old at the time. So I was arrested. That's why I always tell the chief, I know the cells pretty well. You might find my name in there somewhere. But yeah, definitely old wounds brought back a lot of memories. It's been 30 years. And that's one of the reasons that I'm always nagging the chief about a program where we are able to recruit local police officers, people who live in the community, people who have a vested interest to improve our city. And I think he's doing a fantastic job. And these Explorer programs are going to do that. And I met officers who live here. As I was door knocking last year, many officers on staff living in Brawley, a few blocks from my house. So I certainly appreciate all the work that they're doing. And I'll address this other part, is that I'm a lifelong activist. I've protested many issues over my lifetime. And I've done it very effectively. I came here to speak on council before I was on council. One of them was when there was an attempt to remove the prevailing wage. And we all know what a big supporter I am of the prevailing wage. As we mentioned, Arizona, you can build that ramp for probably $700. But I'll tell you right now that they have a huge shortfall of qualified skilled labor. They can't fill it. Why? Because their wages suck. In California, we do a much better job, and that's what we do in order to fill those ranks and make sure that we have the next generation to build our country. Sorry, a little lost there, but I do support everything the chief is doing. I do support the things that we're doing. And as an activist, I'll tell you that I found a way to do it, respecting the law and using the avenues that are presented to me to protest. And so I was here when that started out there, and I'm not sure what happened. I didn't follow up. But there is ways and a means to do this, to come and protest, to have your voice heard. And so I hope that whatever proceeded back out there, that hopefully there's nothing permanent, no permanent damage to this individual, or anything, everything gets cleaned up. Because I do agree with you, we have a right to protest, we have a right to be heard. But as a lifetime activist, I tell you that I learned to respect authority, and I learned to found my channels to do and protest the right way. And there's a way, there's an avenue for that. So that's all I have, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right, thank you for your comments. All right, so I'll just go over a list of things that I've been able to participate at. A lot of great things happening within the city. I do want to thank everybody for coming out to the ribbon cutting for Alpha, a company that I worked hard to establish, and it was just a great event. We had Las Chavelas, who was out there supporting the business as well, and it was a great event. I appreciate everybody coming out, and really meant a lot to me personally. So, also participated during the Memorial Day walk from Westmoreland to Brawley, and I want to thank Parks and Rec staff for their participation and their involvement, and city staff, of course, for being out there and helping put the event together. The Elks, and of course all your associates and your friends and the great people. So, and ICTC for providing the transportation. Thank you all very much. I was also able to meet with the CEO of ECRMC. We met briefly the other day, just giving his input on the happenings within the hospital districts, and I think that's important just to keep informed. I did invite him to a future meeting to provide an update, just like Pioneers has, and hopefully that provides some clarity for everybody as well. Also happy that I was able to attend the Wellness Bar ribbon cutting. It's a 5-year anniversary ribbon cutting. It's here. It's a small business here in town, and they're located on 6th Street. And I can tell you it was a great event, a lot of support. And this is a small business that is just ticking away, and they've survived 5 years. And so that's a big accomplishment. And I made a statement, and I've made the statement many, many, many times before. There are people that are critical of the city of Brawley. They're critical of downtown. They're critical of all these things. But they don't ever participate. They never go and shop here. They never buy anything down there. They don't even know where things are at. And that frustrates me because they're critical, but they don't invest in Brawley, right? They don't invest their dollars. They don't invest their money. And it's frustrating because there are so many hardworking men and women that set up their businesses in downtown and throughout Brawley, and they're investing their money. They're investing their energy. You know who invests in small business? Locals. It's not big business from out of town, it's locals. And so these are the people that you're saying, you're putting them down by saying, hey, there's nothing going on. There's a lot going on. You look down there, we have like almost 800 business licenses. There are people that are investing their money out here that are putting in the effort day after day, and sometimes they're not making any money. It's like that's what being in business is like. And so I appreciate them all. I really try and support businesses all year long, and local businesses in particular. But I missed a ribbon cutting today, and my apologies for that. But another small business that's here in Brawley as well. That's the thing. It's like, let's support local businesses. There's a lot, whether it's a small restaurant or any other service that's being provided, support them. They're doing their job. They're doing their investment here, and they're, providing an opportunity for somebody to be employed or, helping make their own payments. So support local business, very important. Anyway, so I was proud of doing that. Also went to the community workshop for the water treatment plant, the old water treatment plant. That was at the Stockman's Club. It was a little bit of a cold audience initially, but I think they warmed up quite a bit. And so I think there's going to be more discussion. I do appreciate staff. I suggested that we put an online survey up, and they did, and we're getting some input and some feedback from that as well. So that is important for the city of Brawley, and it gives us an opportunity to have a voice. I think that is. People often complain about the past and history, and sometimes they romanticize it like, oh, Brawley used to be this. I can tell you, when I was growing up, I used to go to Newberry's, and there was like 4-inch cracks on the ground, so it wasn't beautiful. It was not pretty. You know what I mean? And so, but there are other things in its place, and there are other things. It's true. I mean, but people romanticize like the past, like, oh, there were so many other businesses. Yeah, but there wasn't like Amazon, there wasn't Walmart, there wasn't Costco, there wasn't malls, there wasn't a bunch of other. Anyway, but so
you remember what the downtown of that area looked like? Where
all the bars and everything else.
That was horrible.
What's Newberry's?
right, yeah. There was this place that would sell these fake orange slices of candy, and anyway.
They were good.
So yeah, remember that? Good, right? And so also attended the All Valley Urgent Care anniversary, and so that's Dr. Tyson's place. And if you've never been there, and I don't go to the doctor too often, but when I do, I used to go to the doctor in Mexicali. Like when I'd get real sick, I'd go to Mexicali just because you can get in, get out real quick. And that place is like that. And so it's really, I call it Mexicali style. You go in, you're out in like 20 minutes, and they give you a shot, you know? So it's like, I love it, you know? And you feel better in like a few hours. It's like, I love it. So anyway, that's my plug for him. Great service to the community. And I think people, if you're not feeling well and you want to feel better quickly, that's a place to go. I mean, I do it, and it's been to my benefit, and I appreciate that. Also, was able to attend the Brawley Police Foundation, the initial meeting, and Chief, I think you did a great job in just identifying the fact that it's historic and that, you know, it's a great place to start. So, and it's a vision you've had for a little while. You've brought that up to me, now it's a reality. So that's great. The board met, and they didn't meet, but they presented, and they spoke to the public, and that was good information out there. Also, Grocery Outlet had an event the other day just recognizing veterans, and they're planning on doing some other things. I had suggested to Grocery Outlet through the chamber to have like a movie night just to get people out there, and I think they're going to do like a parking lot movie, and you know, maybe get some people out there, just kind of participate and get them out there and have a good time. So anyway, those are some of the things that I've been working on, that I've done. And do appreciate staff and everybody else coming out here. Slowly but surely, we're making steady progress. I appreciate that very much. And you know, oh, and then the employee appreciation event, that was great. So I appreciate that. Staff was out there, and people were recognized for 35 years, 25 years of service, 15 years of service. You know, collectively, that's hundreds of years of knowledge and service in this community, right? Remember that. I always appreciate that, because it's collective thought and collective effort that makes a difference. You know, you can't do anything alone, and so everybody's input matters. Whether it's the person who is just entering, working for maybe the summer day camp program, or just working at the pool as a lifeguard. I mean, obviously people are counting on them to do that job. Or if it's, you know, any of the department heads or staff within the departments or city council, we all serve a role. We all make a difference, you know, and so let's all continue to work hard, provide the services that the city needs. And, you know, I do appreciate everybody's input, and I appreciate your output too, because that's good, strong effort, and it's good stuff for everybody. So anyway, enough of that. Thank you all very much, and we'll move on to the city attorney report.
No report today.
No report today. All right. All right. No. All right. So thank you all very much. We're going to go into closed session in just a few moments, but I want to appreciate you all and thank you all very much, and the public out there watching online. Thank you.